Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. You're watching IPO Adda, and my company today in focus is TVS Supply Chain Solutions. It's part of the TVS Mobility Group, and joining me is Mr. R. Dinesh, Executive Vice Chairman, and Ravi Viswanathan, who is the MD of the company. The company is coming out with an IPO which opens on August 10th, closes on August 14th, priced between 187 to 197. It's a fresh issue of 600 crores and an OFS of 280 crores, which pegs the value of the company at the upper end of the price band at little over 8,600 crores. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime. My first question to you, Mr. Dinesh, you are raising 600 odd crores. What is the purpose or object for that?
As you know, the company has been in high growth mode over the years. And the purpose of this is to be able to continue to fund our future growth. We will be repaying debt, which will give us the headroom for the ability to grow in future.
Okay, so I was looking at your prospectus and it mentioned that you planning to pay off some of the debt belonging to TVS LI UK. My understanding is that that's an investment holding company. So where was the investments made, and now how much is the debt left on the books?
We want to take.
So let me first, talk a little bit about the business. So we are India's, I would say, pioneer MNC. We pioneered the 3PL concept in India, and over the years we have made significant acquisitions, integrated it with the core of the company, and today we are able to serve Fortune 500 customers across the globe. The company started by providing services across multiple, I would say, quivers of the supply chain business, and then we acquired capability in building a pan-Asia network. So a lot of the early investments towards acquisitions is where we used some of the borrowing.
And this was done primarily through your UK arm?
Mainly through the UK arm, but that was, as Ravi says, mainly for capability. And that gave us the opportunity to, I would call it the know-how in terms of the aftermarket and also the production supply chain. So it is, I would say UK is one core hub for us, but equally Asia and India become, so to say, the three big hubs.
So, Sarit, if
So
I were
you're-
to add on,
Yeah.
I would say that we have primarily acquired to build capability. And over the years, that competency capability that we have built, we've been able to successfully spread across the enterprise and providing services based on this unique capabilities that we have acquired in different markets and integrating it as TVS Supply Chain Solutions for the broader set of customers that we operate with. So just to give you a flavor of what we do, we typically start with maybe one or two services per customer. And like I said, our customers are Fortune 500 customers, 72 of them in FY23, 51 of them in FY21. So you can see that we can constantly keep adding, high profile customers into our mix. And that's part of our strategy. So when it comes to this capability that we have acquired or through these acquisitions, it gives us a strong entry into these customer accounts. And then we are able to mine these customers very effectively. And that is reflected in our growth. If you were to look back in the last 3 years, I think we made the last set of acquisitions, serious set of acquisitions in 2018-19 when we acquired a pan-Asia network. Since 2020, when our revenue, FY20, our revenues are about 6,600 crores. We are now in FY23, 10,235 crores. And I would say predominantly grown on the organic mode based on the capability set that we have built. So Dinesh's vision in terms of these acquisitions was really twofold. One is that we acquired the capabilities, especially around core areas of production supply chain and aftermarket from the Western markets, and then be able to ingrain that in our home market. And second is to build a pan-Asia network by which we'll be able to be a partner of choice when it comes to customers in the Western Hemisphere. And that's really been the growth story for us over the last 3 years when our revenue has grown from 6,600 crores to 10,235 crores.
So just to get our viewers little to understand the business model a bit, you are into two segments, which is supply chain solutions and network solutions. How does a revenue recognition happen in this segment?
So if I were to look at our two segments, roughly about, I would say 4,600 crores of revenue comes from the integrated supply chain solutions, and the rest comes from the network solutions. Network solutions has two components. One is the global forwarding business, which is we operate 14 lanes across the globe, both air lanes and sea lanes put together. And then we also do a set of integrated final mile delivery for our customers. Our customer set across both the segments are predominantly B2B customers. We are focused on large business, B2B customers, and this is how the revenue pans out across these two segments.
So this includes air, water, and land links as well, right? Means you own the fleets on the ground and on the air as well? No,
We are an
you just
absolutely
provide the
asset light.
solutions there.
We are an absolutely asset light company, Sajid. We lease out even our warehouses. We own no fleet. We book space. We have relationship with over 900 plus partners across the globe, and we use that as a vehicle to build out our solutions. I think the key I would want to call out this is our last name is really our strength. That is solutions. We focus on solutions, so we don't actually have warehouses waiting to be filled. So when I go to a customer and build a solution for him, I will then go and lease a warehouse, and that will provide the solution capability along with technology components and the capability set that we bring to the customer. So maybe I can give you a very small example of what we do. For a large auto customer, we do their entire CKD, or the completely knocked down kits of their two-wheelers that they export to different markets across the globe. Okay. So what we did was we understood the problem statement for the customer, because what happened was in their kits, they would typically, when they reach the destination, they would find maybe a wrong part or a missing part in the kit, which means that the dealer who bought it has a illiquidable asset. And then the company has to air freight these to the different regions, resulting in both customer satisfaction and cost. So what we did was to bring a completely technology-enabled solution using visual computing. So we put cameras which will then ensure that the right part is being put into the kit, and the kit is 100% quality tested through a visual computing mechanism, and assuring the customer that his kits are going to be 100% right first time. We started with about 1,200 kits, and we quickly ramped to about 1,500, 1,600 kits a day, and giving tremendous amount of productivity, efficiency, and significantly reducing the cost of quality for the customer. So this is just to give you a flavor that, look, we understand what the problems the customer is. We bring a technology-enabled solution along with the business process and be able to be an end-to-end partner for the customer.
So it becomes like a services, right? Segment?
Sorry?
It becomes a services kind of segment, right? In that sense?
Yes, the services.
Then how come your margins are very low?
So let me again talk about, I spoke to you about our revenue growth going from 6,600 to 10,235 crores.
So you have a good top line, but it's not flowing through to the EBITDA.
If I look at my EBITDA margins, that has grown from about 235 crores to almost 683 crores over the last 3 years. We have today built the ability to scale. I think the early investments were in making sure that we are building a scalable organization, and the last 3 years is a reflection of that scale being deployed, both from a revenue perspective and EBITDA expansion perspective. So really, it's about expansion of EBITDA margins, and then we are able to get a much better operating performance. Today, our PAT has improved to about 41 crores compared to where we were about 3 years ago. So I think it's a continuous improvement in terms of performance, building the scale of the scalability of the business model that we have deployed, and more importantly, bringing a lot of our technology components to play. And remember that in 2018-19, we did make a series of acquisitions, and all of that today has integrated into the entire enterprise, providing us the operational efficiencies today that we are able to see in the business.
Dinesh, give me a sense of in this services model, what could be the kind of margins that are considered normalized margins?
So if you look at the global sector, I think typically there would be somewhere between 10 to 11% EBITDA margin and a PBT margin of over 4%.
Okay. And how do you plan to reach that thing? Is there a timeline or you glide path which is there for you?
So while I cannot comment on about the future, you can really reflect on the past that we have done, especially I would say post 2018-19, post the acquisitions. We have significantly expanded the EBITDA margins, and I think that is a testimony of the operating model and the ability for us to manage the leverage much better and is reflected in the performance of the company, both from a revenue perspective and an EBITDA expansion perspective.
Okay. Uh, what about your borrowings? Means you had a borrowing of roughly around, if I'm not wrong, 2,000 odd crores. Um, and I think you're going to use up nearly 525 crores to pay up borrowings of your UK subsidiary. How do you plan to deliver there? And is this entire borrowing foreign currency based, or is it rupee based?
So our gross debt is roughly about 1,700 plus crores, and our net would be about 1,100 crores post our raise of 520 crores that we did just a quarter ago. So if I look at our primary purpose, one of the primary purpose of our deployment of the funds is to repay those loans. So we will really create significant headroom for our growth because we'll only be left with working capital, which is basically business as usual for us. So the focus really is by post this IPO, we should be creating significant room for our growth, headroom for our growth. And I say this in the light of some of the large opportunities, and you probably have seen it in the media. About a couple of weeks ago, we announced a very large deal with a UK-based utility provider called Centrica. And these are large engagements where we're using technology to transform the entire supply chain of our customers. And by doing this IPO, we'll be able to significantly do two things. One is significantly increase the brand positioning of the company, because as you engage in these large deals, customers typically look for transparency, governance, and all of this is enabled through the IPO. The second is that we would have created enough headroom for growth so that we are going to invest more on the working capital, which is used to run the business, and we will be debt-free from a long-term debt position.
Then give me a sense of the opportunity which lies, because you are a major player in the Asia Pac, Australia, New Zealand area. And now we are looking at supply chains coming from a point of view of China plus one, where a lot of overseas companies are getting into India. Uh, what kind of opportunities it opens, and thus many of them are your existing clients?
So clearly, there are two or three things that we see. One is that there is an expansion, as per the industry reports, of the production supply chain linked, opportunities. Is expected to grow from about 6 billion to about 18 billion over the next 5 years. Similarly, even e-commerce is going to grow from almost 2.5 billion to about 8 billion over the next 5 years by FY27. And we play in both these spaces. The e-commerce, we play in the fulfillment space, and in the production supply chain, I think we have a very significant share of the pie. So for that, that's a huge opportunity. We are seeing two things coming out. One is, like you rightly said, the China plus one. We are seeing definitely traction today, as we have called it out in the RHP. And also the PLI has moved from rhetoric to a lot of new opportunities. So I think from industry reports, it clearly shows that these are opportunities for us, which is going to expand the market size, both for production supply chain and the e-commerce side in India.
Ravi, you didn't answer my question. Are any of those companies which are coming into India are your existing clients?
So let me just say that, if I take my customer set, and that's all I can comment, right, based on what we have said in the RHP, we work with very large multinational customers. We work with the likes of Daimler, we work with the likes of Roca, we work with the likes of Hyundai, we work with the likes of Diebold Nixdorf. So we do work with large multinational companies. Let me also say Fortune 500 customers.
What about large mobile companies as well? Let me put, instead of not taking the names, mobile companies, semiconductor companies.
We do have a presence in
Let me just say, without naming customers, we do work with the semiconductor sector. Yes.
Okay, and that opens up your kind of opportunity when they expand their operations. I understand. My point is
No, I
that
can't make a futuristic statement, but I will leave that to your interpretation.
it's my interpretation, not yours. I'm just using your joining the dots basically here. My point is here is that what is the kind of relationship that you have with many of the clients? Because in the supply chain, I think you have some clients which are as old as 13 years. In the network, it's 5 to 10 years. When how does it work? I mean, when you start off, your margins must be wafer thin, but when you expand your position, can you expand margins to 10 to 11%, as Dinesh was mentioning, industry standard? Is that the kind of achievement as scale goes up?
Right. So I think it's a great question, because if you look at the Fortune 500 customers expansion, it over the last 3 years, that's been an important part of our growth strategy. And as Dinesh told you, the benchmark EBITDA numbers are around 10.5%, and the PBT is at about 4%. So we look at constantly, we benchmark ourselves with the global majors, because typically international multinational customers, these are the competitive sets that we engage with. So let me just say, the growth of our, if I take the top 20 customers, our revenue growth has been significant. From about 2,700 crores, we now do almost 3,900 crores of revenue from the top 20 customers. That will give you a good indication of the expansion of revenue amongst the top customers.
But
Second,
my question is, what about the margins? Are you getting to that margins as well?
so again, it reflects in the company's EBITDA numbers that in the last 3 years, while the top 20 customers have grown to about 3,900 crores of revenue, the margins of the company has also gone from EBITDA numbers of about 2.63 to about 6.83. So it's about a 400 bips improvement in the EBITDA numbers for the company over the last 3 years.
What is the kind of working capital requirement that you have in this business? And we are in a supply chain situation where disruptions, suddenly speak up the entire logistics cost for companies. In that case, do you have a pass through to the companies, or it comes with a lag? I'm trying to understand your revenue recognition, and whether that contracts in are pass through, and if it comes as a pass through, does it come immediately or with a lag?
Great question. I think if you look at the business from two angles, one is, of course, the global forwarding business. It is a complete pass through. I mean, we pass through all the revenue, but in the supply chain, there is typically a quarter lag. For example, we would bake in inflation in labor, and that would typically be a yearly review. We would bake in fuel cost inflation, which would probably be every quarter. So it depends on every contract. So we have a very, very strong commercial positioning in our contracts, where we are putting in all of these assumptions very clearly. And we do have a lag, like you said, in the supply chain business, typically about a quarter. But in the global freight business, it's complete pass through. Ours is a cost plus model. So
even for containers and all.
Everything in the global freight business is a pass through business. It's a cost plus model.
Cost plus model.
Your
Yeah, please,
question on
Dinesh.
working capital, I think the advantage we have is the quality of our customers, right? So if you really see it has been a continuously reducing trend in terms of working capital itself. And the net working capital, we finished with about 18 days when it comes to the 23 numbers.
Nearly 74% of your revenues come from overseas market. My understanding is that you are a major player on the overseas circuit. Is there a attempt to bring in converge it into India in some way, where your India revenues are also, going to go up because of various, factors which are coming into manufacturing or PLI or others?
Sure. Let me put this in perspective. So our India revenue is we ended FY23 at 3,026 crores. It was second only to UK, which was 3,036 crores. So again, I want to tell you from a country perspective, India is a very, very significantly dominant portion of our share. Second, the growth in India in FY23 was close to 24%. In FY23, that percentage of revenue from India has significantly increased to about so the global number is about 72 point odd, and then the rest is India. So India continues to grow differentially. If you look at it over the last 3 years, India is also, we're able to get, I would say, our growth has been better than in any other country. So from a region perspective, rest of the world to India, I think India is gaining market share within the portfolio. Second is from a country, I think we are very, very close to, we're 10 crores I would say there's a good internal battle going on between UK and India right now for who would be the number one at the end of FY24. So to broad answer to your question, yes, India is a absolute focus area where we're bringing a lot of the global capabilities. A lot of the technology solutions are being deployed in India, and we continue to have significant differential growth as shown in FY23 numbers.
Dinesh, you've been growing at a good top line growth of more than 20% CAGR. Do you see growth outlook of that to continue in the future?
See, obviously, I can't comment on the future, but in terms of,
But will you be able to maintain the CAGR growth?
I think the way to look at it is that we are the perfect platform and the critical scale. And technology is a core differentiator or the core enabler for us to be able to provide the solutions to the customers. That platform is what I think we have been setting out to achieve and create. And as Ravi said, the acquisitions were all made, and that integration has taken place in the last 3 years. So the platform is set. That's the way we look at it.
And is there an opportunity for you to expand to other markets? Are you looking at that for acquisitions and others?
So let me say
I'm
that
talking about Middle East. I think Middle East, you're not there much, right? I mean,
right. So I think our focus markets are UK, Europe, India, US, and Asia Pacific. And these are the markets that we have focused on until now. And that is really the strategy that has paid off over the last 3 years.
And actually, to add, the way we look at the strategy is we have 3 C's, right? We have customer, capability, and geography. So a country, that is geography is the country. So we work and within that framework, so to say, to look at anywhere where we look at opportunities. So that's the basis on which the entire business model has been built.
Give me a sense of your trade receivables because it's somewhere around 12% of your revenues, 1234 crores if I'm not wrong for 2023. How do you look at reducing that receivables? Is it just an accounting thing because coming, or is there seasonality in your business as well?
Well, let me just say that if you look at our numbers over the last 3 years, both from our DSO has been a fantastic trend line, right? So you can see that from the last 3 years numbers. And the DSO has been constantly improving. Our DPO also has improved, meaning we are paying faster to our vendors. And the net working capital has shown a significant reduction. And that's really what I would say is a takeaway in the last 3 years in terms of our performance, both from a DSO and a DPO, resulting in a much better end of net working capital of the company.
What's normally the cycle for you?
So it varies in every geography.
What the average?
Should be about 60 days. I
Okay.
don't know if that is a
No, I think
number
net
that they
working
are.
capital, I don't know
No,
whether
you're talking about the. I'm assuming you're talking about the payment terms.
Yeah, receivables.
Yeah, the receivables. I would say net worth is about 50 odd days for the company.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime. The IPO opens on August 10th. It is priced between 187 and 197. The company is raising 600 crores, largely to reduce debt from its balance sheet. Thank you for watching IPO Adda.